Hello guys, welcome back to Chess for Mates, a YouTube channel that features and analyzes amateur chess games. If you want to send me your own chess games, you can contact me on the email I provided down below in the description of this video. Don't be shy, just send me your PGN file and I will analyze your game and probably feature it on my channel. In the meantime, today we have another interesting game. All the relevant information about the game is shown in the right corner. So you can first see the name of the players playing. We have the player with the white pieces, J0se, and we have the player with the black pieces, Fercareto. We can also see their respective ratings and we can see the occasion. So this was a 10-minute rapid game. I decided to provide also the information about the quality of chess in this game. So we can see that Jose made two inaccuracies, one mistake and one blunder, while his opponent made two inaccuracies, one mistake and three blunders. I thought this was interesting, as it shows that this wasn't a perfect game, of course, but nonetheless, as you will see, uh, this game features a lot of interesting ideas, attacking ideas, and you can learn from this game. So let's get started. Oh, I just realized my board is upside down, but it's okay. I'm sure you will manage. So let's start. The game starts with e4, and now black replies by playing c5. So it's a Sicilian defense. Now the continuation is obvious for white and quite common. Black plays d6 here. White pushes through the center. Black takes the pawn, and now white develops the bishop. So an interesting perspective from white here, not taking this pawn right away, but rather developing a piece. So let's see how will it work out for white. So black here played knight to c6, uh, developing a piece, and now we have c3 by white, opening up this line for the queen in the future, also prompting black to maybe take the pawn, and in that way white would give even more material, but he would have developed his knight by retaking, and we would have a rapid development for white. That's the whole idea for white in this position. And I also must mention that after this c3 move, this structure is starting to resemble the Smith Morra gambit, and it's the gambit that white can often play in the Sicilian defense, against the Sicilian defense. I myself often play this opening, so that's why this game was interesting for me, and I appreciate this game. It's an interesting idea for white, as I already say. You give up the material in the beginning, but you have fast development and you have attacking chances. So what should black play now? Black took the pawn, and now the common idea is to retake with the knight. But here Jose doesn't play this way. He doesn't take back. He plays queen to b3. Trying to create a powerful battery along this line and to attack the f7 pawn. That is a reasonable idea, but we must mention that by playing queen to b3 right away, you do allow knight to a5 in the future. And uh, this doesn't suit you that much as white, as you will probably lose this bishop. You will be forced to give it up. So let's see what will happen after queen to b3. Here black plays first e6, which is an understandable move, stopping these attacking ideas from white, protecting this pawn. And now white plays castles. And this is a mistake, I would say, from white. Better was, of course, to first take with the knight, developing a piece and taking some of the material back. But white decides to castle. He probably wants to include his rook as fast as possible. And now black takes yet another pawn, which is not so convenient anymore for white he has a few options here. The better of the two options is to take with the queen, because now you do stop this idea with the knight, because now the queen isn't attacked and you can move the bishop anywhere you want. You can retreat it or give the check, and you can preserve it for later. But in this position, white didn't play queen takes on b2. White rather wants to include his bishop into the game, so he took with the bishop. And now he does have a beautiful piece indeed, we must say this, but he does allow the knight idea for black. And that's what black plays. Black plays knight to a5. What can you do now? Well, you must move your queen, so white does. I mean, you can give the check with the bishop, but eventually the scenario would be the same. As now white is can either retreat back with the knight, or more understandably, he can play something like this and force you to exchange your bishops. And now you would have to move the queen somewhere, and the scenario would be similar to the one happened in the game. So to avoid all this nonsense, so to say, and save time, Jose right away moved the queen in this position, so he played queen to d3, and now black took the bishop. White now retook, and when we look at this position, we must say that this wasn't the most precise opening play from white, because he lost his light square bishop, which was a very important attacking piece, and he lost the initiative he had eventually, although he is still more developed than black. But black can now easily consolidate, and the attack that was possible isn't quite here anymore. If black plays precise from here, he will consolidate and white will be worse. So let's see if will black use this opportunity to win the game. So black first plays bishop to d7. This is the best move according to Stockfish, developing a piece. Giving this square for your rook, for black's rook, also a great move. So white here plays knight to c3, and now the best for black is rook to c8, instantly attacking the queen and including yet another piece into the attack, as this line is open. As we can see, you must put your rooks on the open files, but black doesn't play rook to c8, he first plays a6, a move I don't really understand that much, but okay. And now white plays rook to e1, putting the rook on the line with the king. This is understandable. And as black, you need to continue developing here. That's the best plan. And now he plays c8, which is understandable. White must move the queen. White plays queen to b3, and now black plays bishop to c6. Well, this isn't quite the best option. The best option, as we can see, is knight to e7. Why? Because now you develop another piece and you control these really important squares with your knight. You delayed castling for a bit, but it doesn't matter, as you will have a solid and secure king for the moment, and you will have a better game here in this position. Unfortunately, black played bishop to c6, which allows some ideas for white here. White can now have some counterplay. He can attack the uncastled king yet again by playing knight to d5. And this is what white plays. This is the best move according to Stockfish. Because now we can see the idea white has. It isn't so great to take this knight. Why? Let me show you. If you take it with the pawn, you get this situation. White retakes, discover check, and white gets his piece back. Now you must block with the knight, I presume, to still cover this pawn from the bishop. And now white simply takes the piece back, and this position is better for white because he's more developed, and you still didn't castle as black. you will have a problems with black. It will be hard to play this game as this pawn is very weak. White can put pressure on this weak. With his rooks, these files are open, and white would enjoy attacking chances here. So that's why, let's go back to the real game. Sorry guys. In this position, black should play knight to f6, allowing white to take, and now black can retake, and he has powerful center with these pawns. Black controls a lot of squares with his pawns, and these pawns will be really important. In the future, black can even fianchetto his dark square bishop and then castle, and black will have an advantage because we can count the pawns here and see that black has material advantage. Black would be better by playing this way. Black nonetheless doesn't play knight to f6 as recommended. He decides to push e5, hoping that he stopped all these ideas white had. But now white has another time for another great move, for another tempo move. He plays knight to b6 attacking the rook. Awkward move for black. How can you deal with this position? Stockfish says the best is to play queen to c7. But humans don't play this way. Humans don't give up their rooks this way. So I understand black for playing in this position. Black decided to preserve his rook. He played rook to c7, but this allows further tempo gains for white. White now plays rook to d1, putting pressure on this pawn. This pawn is now hanging because knight can freely take it, and you cannot take back because we have this pin towards the queen by the rook. So another good move by white. Necessary now for black is to play f6 to protect this pawn. You must do it, although you weaken your light squares around the king, and this does look a bit ugly, but it's a necessary move, unfortunately, for black. But black doesn't play this move. Black plays knight to f6, a move he should have played earlier, and now he allowed white to simply take this pawn for free and to have a much better position. White now took the pawn with the knight. That's the best way to take the pawn, and now white has a powerful knight, a monster knight that controls a lot of squares in front of the black king. And this knight cannot be taken for the moment. In this position, it's really hard to play. Also, we must not forget about this knight. Also controls some squares in front of the black's position. So an awkward position for black here. What can you do as black? Well, Stockfish recommends the best is to play knight to h6. But it's a hard move to find for amateur players. Now if white attacks the knight, you move your queen here, the pawn is pinned, also you unpin from the attack of the rook, and now this knight is hanging, so white would be obliged to capture the bishop. But after something like this, white is still better. White still has attacking ideas here. So let's go back to the real game. In the real game, black didn't play knight to h6 as it is a weird looking move. Black here played, unfortunately, a big mistake. Black decided to take the pawn. This is the very dangerous move here and definitely a blunder. So he took the pawn with the bishop, and now he allows white to have a massive advantage. White can win the game on the spot here. I wonder if you can see the move. Well, the winning move for white is queen to h4. And these two knights are so powerful that they simply win the game for white. They're controlling this square 2 times, and this square also. And now what can you do? Well, you can not block with the bishop, obviously, because then you get this kind of stuff, discover check, and knight takes the queen. So this is out of the question. The best is to block with the knight. Unfortunately, white still has massive advantage by playing knight takes back, and this knight can simply now be, it must be taken, and also this bishop is pinned. You can see that white will simply win material advantage, and it's all over here for black. So that was the winning move for white in this position, playing queen to a4. Unfortunately, Jose didn't found this move. In this position, after bishop to e4, Jose plays knight to c4. And this is still winning for white. Don't forget, don't think it's the other way around. This is still winning for white. White is still much better, but this does allow the game to continue a bit longer. It's still very hard for black to play here. Well, what can you do in this position? It simply looks very menacing for black, and how to react. Well, Stockfish says the best is to play bishop to e7, to give up the piece in order to save yourself from mate. And now white would take this bishop, and now you would even castle according to Stockfish, because that's the only way you can stop powerful attacking ideas from white. But okay, black didn't play bishop to e7, as it does lose a piece on the spot. So black tried d5, protecting the bishop, and thus allowing this move. As you can see, the arrow, that's the best move for white. So in this position, white again has the winning move. Bishop takes, and you have a big problem as black. Your queen is hanging, and you cannot take back with the queen, because then you allow this move. Beautiful move, forking the queen and the rook, and the bishop is pinned. So a completely winning position for white. Also, if you decide to take with the pawn, you again get this move. The same idea. The bishop is pinned, and you attack the rook. The knight is protected by this rook. The queen will eventually be attacked by the rook. Everything is terrible for black. So white had a winning move by playing bishop to f6, taking the knight, but white unfortunately played f3, and this is the only move that saves black in this position. Now black has a move that saves the game for him, and after this move black is completely equal. And unfortunately for white, black finds this move. Black plays bishop check to c5. This is check, and now you can castle, as you can see, and this saves black. This simply gets rid of all the problems black had. So let's see what happens. Jose now moves the king, and black now simply castles. This bishop is still hanging, but it isn't pinned anymore, and this knight is also hanging. So in this position it's equal. Now what's best for white? Well, the best is to take the bishop indeed. So white took the bishop, but now he allowed black to take back the knight also. And that's the idea, because black can now take the knight, although the best move for black is a knight to g4. We can see this is a sneaky move, now controlling this square and threatening checks with the knight and the future windmill, because the bishop and the knight have powerful ideas here. So this is the best for black, but black decided he wants to take material right away. So he took the knight, and okay, now he allowed white to take his queen, but as you can see, the white's queen is also hanging. And now if you take the queen, you don't get anything as white. You're simply worse after all is said and done, and black is better here in this position. So that wouldn't be the best course of action, and that's why white didn't trade the queens in this position. After black played pawn takes on c4, white finds the best move in the position here, the most tricky move in the position, the only poisonous move that allows him to have some chances, but only if black messes the things up. So white plays here the tricky move, queen to g3. Very tricky move. You attack this rook, potentially, put pressure on this rook. This knight is hanging, but you have this pressure along the line with the bishop and the queen. So this knight cannot move for black. And black's queen is also attacked, as you can see. It's still attacked by the rook. So a bit of complex position, although you can see the solution. It's an easy solution if we look at it now. It's the only move that saves black. So the only move that saves black is knight to h5. And now you attack white's queen. You guard yourself from checkmate. And white is obliged to repeat moves here. Because here white is worse. Because white's knight is hanging. And his queen is hanging. There are no more checkmate threats. And this kind of thing, taking the queen, if white decides to play this, well, that doesn't work for white because black can take his queen back with check, and now black is completely winning. So that was the best move for black. Simply knight to h5, preserving the status quo in this position and preserving equality. Unfortunately, black hasn't found this move. Had he found this move, white would have to repeat. We would have something like this because white is worse, and if he tries for tricks, he will lose the game. So we would have these moves. But it didn't happen, so in the real game, after Jose played queen to g3, now black played the mistake, queen to e7. Black thought, okay, I will move my queen, I will still protect the rook, I will still protect the knight, because this knight must be protected from the bishop, and everything will be fine. But he forgot about white's next move. The knight is attacked, so you move it. And white moved the knight on the best possible square, knight to d5, forking the rook and the queen. Also, this knight cannot move because then you get the checkmate. And what can black do here? Well, black is just lost. He tried queen to e6, but now white plays the best move in the position. Knight takes on f6, and this is the knight is cannot be taken because the king is in the line with the queen. And now you must move your king as black did. And now white plays another beautiful move. Knight back on the same square to d5, attacking the rook and threatening checkmate at the same time. What can you do? Well, there is not much you can do as black. You have only one possible move, and that is to play f6 to stop this checkmate idea. And now white simply took the rook, and white is winning, also attacking the queen. Black can resign here, but he continued the game for a bit. Maybe white was low on time, so black hoped he can salvage something, and now he plays queen to f7. White goes back with the knight again. Rook to d8. White plays queen to h3, pushing the pawns. And now another beautiful move by the knight. So this knight really destroyed black's chances. Let's take another look at this move. Beautiful move, taking the pawn, threatening checkmate here. Also, you cannot take if you take the knight back, and you must do it, your rook is hanging on the file, on the d8 file, and you just lost a rook. So a beautiful combination again by white. Here black took the knight, and this is the continuation. Beautiful way to finish the game. So we have a couple of moves, although black could have resigned here. Now this is the best, but white doesn't play the best moves from here. Probably he's low on time, but still he manages to win. Let me just show you the finish. Now white decides to sacrifice material because he saw that he has the checkmate eventually, and this will be it. The final move from white. Beautiful finish. I hope you liked the game. So this was it. I hope you learned something from it. Also, I would like to thank Jose for sharing his game with me. And in the meantime, send me your own games, guys. Bye for now.